have Mr. Donté Clark. What should we call you, sir? Is it okay to call you Tay?
I'm calling him
for sure.
Tay.
You do.
Okay. We rocking Tay today.
Rocking Tay today. Tay is a native of my hometown where I live right now, Richmond, California.
Come on, Rich City in the building.
He reigns as one of the most prolific writers and voices out of the Bay Area arts community. Tay is an actor, stage and film director, scriptwriter, lyricist, and public defense attorney consultant. All of Mr. Donté's work as an artist and community member is dedicated to shifting the narratives of Black, Aborigine people's history while challenging educators and courtroom officials to abolish all racist policies.
Wow.
Welcome, Donté Clark, to the show.
Wow,
this is amazing.
Intro.
Yeah, okay. It truly is. It truly is.
We're going in today. We tapping in deep, y'all.
Tapping in deep. So I do want to give a shout out because this guy came through at the very last minute for anything can happen show, which just goes to show the relationships that we're building and forming within the community. But we're very grateful that you made the time to join us today and bless our listening audience.
Oh, for sure, man. I appreciate the phone call. I'm glad I answered. You know what I mean? I was just about to tap out. You know what I mean? Hold on, let me hit my brother back. See what you're talking about.
When we're in alignment, it happens. It happens. But most important question, how are you doing today?
I'm blessed, man. I feel good. I feel well. You know, my pops always say when you can wake up, you know what I mean, be in your right mind.
That's right.
And have passion in your heart, all your limbs working, man. Today is a beautiful day. It's another opportunity to be great. So I feel good.
Shout out to Black fathers.
Amen.
Shout out to Black fathers. But Tay, that was a super long bio. I'm not sure if everybody caught all the amazing things that were in it, but I will tell you, I met I call you Don Black. I've always known you as Don Black, right? But I met Don Black through poetry specifically, through poetry and community work and spoken word. And when I tell y'all this is one of the best spoken word artists I've ever heard, that's an understatement. Wow. Actually, funny story, right? I was flying to when I went to Hawaii a couple months ago. I was on the plane.
That you didn't invite me on?
Yeah, not this time.
Or
a private trip.
Yes, it was.
A private trip.
We're crushing. Go on.
Business. Right. Anyway, so I saw this brother perform, right? And I was telling you, I was on the plane and I was looking through the movies and I actually saw a movie. Now, did you direct this movie? I know you wrote the script and you were performing, you were acting in it, but did you also direct the movie?
What movie?
Man, and he said, what movie?
Yeah, come on.
He said, what? You know what?
I don't want to be false claims out here. There's not one movie.
He got multiple movies.
Did you check this man's resume?
Which movie? Which house? Which house are you talking about? Right, but no. So this is a movie. I believe it was in Richmond, and I remember you were performing. I think it was black and white. So it was a couple months ago. Excuse me, but I think it was black and white. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think you're talking about. It was a spoken word piece called "Blackness is Everything."
Blackness is everything.
Yeah.
Wow. But no, I saw this on the plane. Like I'm literally when people were scrolling through the movies, like what's on this plane, right? And I see like freaking Donté Clark. Like is that the Donté Clark that I know? And I started watching. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is Donté Clark. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So can we know what the name of the movie?
It's a spoken word piece in partnership with Baycat Studios, directed by Abba Mahia. It's a spoken word piece called Blackness is Everything. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty much just talking about what does blackness look like from a perspective of a Bay Area.
Wow.
And so I just tried my best. Another one of the homies who hit me like, hey, I'm directing this piece. Wow. I need an artist. I need this done in like a week or two. Can you know what I'm saying, come through? So I'm like, all right, for sure. What's the topic? And we're just talking about like, from the perspective of Black fatherhood, and then it turned into like Blackness is Everything. So that's pretty much the idea. The visuals was directed by Abba, but the words was written by me and performed by me. So it's kind of like a partnership. Like I wrote the words and then she constructed the visuals behind it.
Nice. Now, was it like a short film?
It's like a short film. It's a poem with some jazz behind it, and then you're just seeing visuals of the Bay Area. Past, present, future. So it's kind of like a poetic visual.
Yeah.
Sweet. Man, that's amazing. So what else you do? Like you're a spoken word artist, you're a poet. I heard that you recently got engaged.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I started off writing rhymes when I was young, and then that turned into writing poetry, and then that turned into me teaching other young folks how to write poetry, how to perform. Then that turned into us putting on shows for the young folks' voices to be elevated, and that turned into like script writing for like theater.
Yeah.
And then we started filming the process, and then that turned into me getting into film a little bit.
Wow.
Then I started acting because of it, and then that turned into other audiences seeing what I was doing. Then I started traveling, talking to schools, and then a couple of public defense attorneys was like, "Hey, I got a client that's going through some of the same things you talk about in your work. Can you come and be an expert witness to speak on the behalf of my case?"
Wow.
So then that turned into me getting into the, to the courtrooms and consulting with public defenders. And so that's kind of like it just everything just expanded from each other.
That's
So I got a quick question. It sounds like you found your alignment. You know what I'm saying? Like you're in your flow. Like when things, I feel like when you talk to certain people and things just continue to line up and continue to blossom and grow, it's like the alignment of the universe just continuing to gift you, right? How did you find that alignment within yourself?
It's crazy because I feel like a part of me always knew, and then another part of me like discovered it accidentally. And then it's like when I was young, I always felt like one, I had an opportunity to just be the person that was quiet and observant. You feel me? So I was able to come into a lot of spaces that certain people wasn't invited into.
Right.
Sometimes good spaces and sometimes like crazy environments, but I was able to be there and just be a fly on the wall and just soak up information just from learning from people's conversations and dialogue, and just me being in tune with myself and just feeling like I have an opportunity to understand people and to communicate in a way that people understand me. So then it turned into me not knowing who I wanted to be, you know what I mean? Growing up in the neighborhood and you got brothers and family members who known for neighborhood activities, and you trying to walk in their footsteps, and then you got counselors and stuff that's like trying to put you on a trajectory to go to college and be all that you can be. So me walking this double line, feeling like I have an ability to communicate with both type of communities, those who are like intellectually, advanced, and those who are just like trying to survive.
Right.
And so going through my own turmoils, I figured how can I describe what I see and what I go through. And so once I start writing, I just like, all right, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I wasn't a sports person. I wasn't really that into school like that. Once I got into middle school, high school, you start feeling like, dang, I don't know if this is necessarily gonna be my path. But it's like on my heart, it was just always like, I know I have a heart to help people. I know I have an understanding of what we go through, and I know I want to do more, and what can I do? And just talking about it or writing about it to me just sounded logical. So it was just something that I did to like process my own emotions. But once I start sharing it and people start gravitating towards it, I just felt like, all right, this is a gift. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things when you in class and you feel like you messing up, and even a teacher that don't really like you have to admit like you one of the best writers in the classroom.
Right.
Like,
I was going to ask you, that was actually the question that was on my heart right now, is because of course I'm a mom, right? Mom of a boy. And I was curious about like when you knew you were writing, like when you knew you were kind of expressing yourself as a writer. And I know that little kids don't often understand or comprehend themselves as expressing themselves, like expressing their feelings, expressing themselves artistically, or any of that stuff until they're older, so when were you like kind of aware that this was an outlet for you? How old were you?
I honestly have to say it started in kindergarten. I always tell this story, but my mom had told me that she talked to my kindergarten teacher, and the teacher had said that I developed slow with my understanding. And so, for the 90s and the 80s babies, y'all may know this program called Hooked on Phonics.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It was pretty much a packet, like a booklet or a bunch of cassette tapes that taught you how to sound out alphabets, taught you how to read. And you could put that in. And so I was on that, and I felt embarrassed as a little kid, feeling like I developed my understanding slower than my classmates. But being on Hooked on Phonics, it seemed like you know what I mean? It was something that made me feel insecure, but then I start liking to put on the tape just for fun, not just for homework, but for fun. Just listen to them sound out words, and I started being able to spell words or identify words without ever seeing them, but I could sound out words and spell it. So my spelling and my speech started to progress, and I memorized a lot of the stories that the audio would read to me without ever. I couldn't read the word on the page, but I could recite it. So my memory was just like impeccable. So, you know, for show and tell in kindergarten, you always can come. But one random day, you know, instead of the teacher doing story time, I had asked if I could tell the class a story. Wow. And I recited this story just off memory without the book in front of me, in front of the whole class. And the whole class was captivated that I was able to do that. And then the teacher in kindergarten, and the teacher, her name Miss Hitchcock, she had told my mom's like, it may take him a little while to get it, but once he got it, step back. Yeah, because he's an independent thinker and he knows how to do it. Once he learned it, he knows how to do it better than how you taught him. Right. You know what I mean? So that stuck with me. So from there, it went to like, you know, second grade and then fifth grade. And then my fifth grade teacher's telling me like I had the best book report in the classroom and using that as a model and an example for other students. So like this, if you're gonna write, this is how I want y'all to write, like Donté's. You know what I mean? Then that goes to seventh grade and eighth grade. So I always knew from kindergarten to second to fifth grade that I was a good writer. And then it didn't mean nothing to me until, you know, I get to high school and I'm messing up in class and I got anger issues or whatever. And then even my English teacher was like, man, you one of the best writers in the classroom. And if you just knew how to communicate that well, like on paper, I see your thoughts, but your actions is so hard to understand, like what's going on. If you know what I mean, knew how to use that. And then so I was like, dang, so in ninth grade, that's when I was like, man, I'm supposed to be writing. Yeah. And so that's when I decided that that's what I want to do. I want to write.
That's beautiful, man. And while you were telling that story, I actually thought about, you seen XMen, right?
Look,
but you know, like Wolverine and Cyclops, right? But the concept of XMen is that you have like these gifted human beings, right? Like who have particular gifts, and then Professor Xavier will like take them into his school, right? And he'll like train them on how to use their powers without like killing their parents. Right? Like that, like when you break it down to that, I'm thinking of you, like obviously you stood out even in kindergarten, right? Like you stood out as a kid because you could do something that most of 90% of the other students couldn't do or didn't know how to exhibit, right? Like that's the separation. I'm like, where do we go when we have those abilities? Because I was that kid. Like I was always just like, you know, you talk white, right? Like just more articulate than most of the other kids. But it's like those gate perks. So I'm kind of getting into a tangent now. But I know you do a lot of work with students, like in schools, right? Like what does that look like, and what's the outcome from working with students?
Well, for me, I realized a lot of, you know, teachers or adults don't really spend a lot of time asking like they always ask, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
And sometimes it's
at like 7.
It's
an astronaut.
You know what I mean? So we gonna say the thing. It's like we almost program as even kids to just say like a doctor, a policeman, firefighter,
lawyer.
Yeah,
I like to argue.
It's like, you feel me? Like the same 5 careers for like 40 years has been recited, and I just was like, man. But when I was younger, somebody asked me like, what you want to be? I said I wanted to be a wrestler. You know what I mean? Because I used to watch a lot of WWF. Yeah, that was like my hero. So I'm like, I want to be a wrestler. So when I was telling my teachers at 5th grade, they was like, oh man, we in trouble. We hear football player, basketball. This boy said a wrestler. You know what I'm saying?
Already outside the box.
Right. So, because I'm like, that's what I want to be. And then once you start developing like your passion, then I'm like, dang, I wish somebody would have asked me, what are you passionate about? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you like to do type questions. And then providing space to where it's like, all right, in this classroom, how can I teach it in a way that activate your passion and your skill set, or what you may really like to, or you may be really good and talented at, but you're not even aware. So, and I think like training our educators to have that eye to see like, what does this person naturally do? Or what is this person really good at? Or how can I pull this person into this activity so they can develop like a curiosity, if they don't know, to develop a curiosity of, I don't know, but I'm willing to explore. And I think like for me, when I go into classrooms, I try to identify what natural abilities are you displaying up front. whether that's leadership qualities, whether you like to talk a lot, then it's like, man, you like to talk a lot, you should be doing some public speaking. You know what I mean? Because you're not gonna stop talking, so I might as well try to help you.
Yes.
You feel me? Develop a critical mind, so you're not just saying any old thing. You know what I mean? So just
that's so
that.
outside of the box, though, for the public school system, particularly in this country. Right? I mean, you know, I homeschool my son, right? And so both of my parents are actually teachers, right? Are retired teachers, and so when I decided to homeschool, it was this whole like, oh my God, you know, what are you doing? And, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I totally agree with that. Like when I see my child, because my child is similar to what you're describing, like autodidact, where there's a word for that, right? Autodidact, kind of learning, teaching yourself what you want to know and kind of honing your own skills as a child. And so as he moves towards certain things, I'm like, that looks like something you might be passionate about. And then he's kind of like, Mom, get out of my business type of thing, because he's 12. But allowing that space and just kind of looking at what he's doing, observing what he's doing naturally, and then kind of saying, why don't we maybe get you a teacher in this, or let's talk a little bit more about this, or can you write me something about this type of thing? And it's very less regimented than the following like the Common Core and things like that in school right now. It's very, very challenging for kids out there that are a little bit more creative naturally, because they're just that's not honored as much as it should be, in my opinion.
Yeah. I got a quick question for you. So for the youth that hasn't been exposed to too much, right? Because, you know, in the inner city communities where we come from, certain kids only know so much because of their exposure, right? The kid that you like, you know, what do you like to do? He's like, kidding with my friends. You know what I'm saying? How do you get a kid like that to open up and really find what their true gift is and get their purpose out of them? You know what I'm saying? The one that's kind of like, you know, just kicking it. I just want to be me, just hang out. You know, I just want to have fun.
I know we, especially us as like, you know, melanated folks, we learn based off of relationships.
Yeah.
So if I have a relationship with you, or if I trust you, then I'm gonna open up a little bit more, and I'm willing to take any suggestions or explore your options. So it depends on like the nature of our relationship. If I come into a classroom and I only have like 30 minutes, then it's gonna be quick. If I'm just throw out some suggestions of like, have you ever thought about this? Have you ever tried that? You ever did it? If I have like an extended period of time of like, all right, I know this is my first workshop and I'm gonna be here for at least 12 more, I'm gonna take my time to try to get to know them. It's like, all right, where you come from? What type of things, if you had an opportunity to go anywhere, where would you go? Have you ever been dirt bike riding? What you think about that? Like just asking a bunch of questions just to get their minds to just start to see if they really have it buried and they're just afraid to say, or if they really just don't know what exists out there. And the more I put in their mind, the mind is a powerful thing. You feel me? It's gonna do everything else for her. All I gotta do is plant the right seeds in the right way that don't sound like forcing them, but just like showing them the excitement of like, man, have you ever been on an airplane? Nah. Would you like to go on one? Man, I'm scared of flying. Where'd that come from? How you scared of flying if you ain't never flew before?
Right.
Like, what you scared of? Like, man, you ever boom, you ever seen, let me show you a picture. Boom. You know what I mean? Go on Instagram right now and look up da-da-da-da. You ever seen that waterfall, boy? You ever went? You know what I mean? Right. Just showing them that it's more out there. So it depends on how much time I have with the individual, but I love planting seeds in people's mind. Like, you feel me?
Opening up the world is so critical for young people today, because they are in their own area, they're in their own neighborhoods, in their own schools. And so then what you find is that introducing new ideas, or like global ideas, like shout out to my goddaughter, Kaylee. We went to Europe. She'd never even been outside of California, right? And so we spent like 7 weeks in Europe recently, last year. And just the way her mind opened up, you know, just seeing the different ways that other people live, like you were saying about the fears that a lot of kids have of getting on the airplanes, or what are you afraid of? You've never even experienced that before. Now, you know, of course, it's natural to have some trepidation for something you've never ever experienced.
Yeah.
And the people that raised you maybe have never experienced that. Right. So I understand that. Can you tell me a situation where maybe you saw the light bulb go on in a kid, you know, like, you know what I'm saying?
Light bulb. I ain't never been asked that question.
Well, while you think about it, I want to make a quick announcement. So you're getting some love, a lot of love on our social media.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this, follow us. So like, comment, follow at ach.show on Instagram. That's at ach.show. We go live every single Thursday at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So definitely tune in. You're getting a lot of love on our page right now. But I want to throw that question back to you. When did you see the light bulb go off with a studio you were working with?
Dang. That's a hard one. So now I'm trying to think. I don't want to say no generic answer. I'm trying to think of a specific person. Dang.
That was hard. I threw it at you.
I'm gonna say, dang. Who could I say?
Yeah, it's like how do you identify that moment? Because sometimes it is gradual. You know,
that's true. Yeah.
While you were telling that story, I was thinking about, you were saying the mind is powerful, right? And like we hear that so much. Even like when we were growing up, a lot of us heard like knowledge is power, knowledge is power, knowledge is power, right? But you got a lot of people with like doctorate degrees who are broke, right? Like knowledge isn't necessarily power, right? So it's the application of knowledge is power, right? So even what you're doing with the students, it's like, it's not that they don't know how to learn, right? But it's like whatever they're being taught in that traditional model isn't working.
Or they learn differently. Kids learn so differently, and they don't always fit into that box.
And for me specifically, right, you can give me some information that's worth like a lot of money, but if I don't see, like, if I don't see a purpose in it,
what's the point?
Like, that don't motivate me. Like, man, you can get a lot of money, and it's like, it's like I'm purpose driven. I have to know why I'm doing it, because that's gonna keep me motivated to keep doing it and be passionate about doing it while I'm doing it. And I think a lot of times we are told from K through all our lives, like, this information is only valuable if it can get you money. And I feel like a lot of people, once they acquire that, then they become lost in the world. It's like, okay, so if I'm not doing this thing that makes money, then who am I? And we identify ourselves with like titles or status, because it shows, oh, if you're a lawyer, what type of lawyer, then that puts you in a particular status. So now you think you are important because you're doing that. But what happens when you retire, then who are you then? You feel me? So I feel like information is only valuable if you understand that, like, it has to be rooted in humanity and showing love while doing that particular thing. Because I don't have to know nothing to be kind to people. I don't have to have no information about anything to just say, thank you, may I, please, you look good today, I wish nothing but the best for you, and to just be helpful in whatever it is, whatever capacity. So I look at it as, when I'm talking to youngsters as far as education, it's like, whatever you learn, how can it benefit you and everybody around you? And are you passionate about it? And how can you find purpose in doing the thing with that, like the application? Like, you know what I mean? Like, once I had this information, how can I apply it in a way that brings peace around me?
Yeah. But there's a war between passion and money. You know, there really is, because the culture that we live in is so money driven that when you talk to people, and I my career has been talking to young people, has been with young people, right? And which I continue to do all the time. And there's so much fear of young people when it comes to not making money. And in California, in the Bay Area, you know, man, it's rough out here, right? And so how do we then make young people understand that if you're spending your whole life in this career, so right now you've got this job. I just had this conversation with a young person like yesterday. So, if you have this job and you're making a lot of money, and you're working for somebody else, right? You're working for somebody who knows that you're young, you're appealing, you know, you've got a wonderful personality, and they're just sucking the life out of you to make them more money, right? So they're paying you well, but you're promoting their business, right? But that's not actually your passion. Your passion is this. You're clear. You might even be very clear about what your passion is, right? But you're not doing it because you're sucked into this money-making mindset. And it's okay to have a money making mindset, in my opinion, if it aligns with something that you're passionate about. But how do we teach people not to be afraid of following their passion because you're getting another opportunity that's not your passion?
Right. I say for me, you have to lead by example, because most teachers who are teaching us are not passionate about teaching. You know what I mean? So it'd be like when and we can see it as young people, we have a keen eye to observe, like, this teacher coming here every day looking miserable.
But I think even more than a keen eye, we can feel that vibe.
Yeah.
We feel the energy of the teacher that's just like here just to get a paycheck, and just looking past us and not hearing us out.
I mean, if you call that a paycheck, teachers,
I mean, you know,
poverty levels.
It's rough.
Well, you know, they get what they get, right? You know,
It's not like the school board.
Not compassionate at all.
Cut the salaries.
No, what I'm saying is it's a status, right? It's cooler to say I'm a teacher versus that I work at Starbucks or something. You know what I'm saying? But they get paid around.
But teachers are passionate. People go into teaching because most people go into teaching. They're not going into teaching for money.
I want to see those stats.
They're not going into teaching for money. Come on now. Like, and I'm just out there for the teachers. I'm out there for the teachers because both my parents are teachers. Yeah, there are teachers out there, but two of my best friends are teachers, and my parents are teachers, and they do not do it for money because the money sucks.
But that's a small percentage now. Like, they're struggling in a lot of schools to staff schools. You know what I'm saying?
They're struggling to staff anything right now. I went into Target the other day. I couldn't find nothing. There's nothing.
Donté Clark
was long. They only got 2 registers open up.
Okay.
Friday night.
Come on now, Target. Do me better than that.
Say real quick, we'll get back to the teachers. I do want to ask you though about music. We haven't talked at all about music. Like, I know you're you're an incredible artist, right? And I know. So remind me, because we're coming up on our midway break. We're gonna play some music real quick for our listening audience. But I know I went to a film screening. This wasn't on the plane. Like, this was in Richmond at a school. You know what I'm talking about? Like, there was a film screening. So I don't remember exactly, but this is like the height of Donté Clark. I know you to be like, this is when I saw you cross that bridge into, like, you know, hometown hero status. But I remember I went there, and this theater was like packed out, right? I think we must have been in the gymnasium or something, but there was like at least 200-300 people that came out to see this film. And like, that's like really all I remember of it. But I know it was about Richmond, right? It was about, maybe like, because I remember they were talking about the history of Richmond and like how some of the gang wars started.
Oh, you talking
this was
about
years ago.
Yeah, documentary that was featuring called Romeos Bleeding.
Romeos Bleeding.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That can you? So we got like 2 minutes. We can continue after the break. But can you speak on that real quick? Like, because I know you were touring with that film, right?
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
Romeos Bleeding is a documentary that follows me in an organization that I was working with called Raw Talent, Richmond Artists with Talent back in 2012, 2013. And we took the story of Romeo and Juliet and we rewrote it to fit our lived experience of Richmond, California.
That was incredible.
So that's what the documentary was following us for 6 months while we wrote and performed that show. So that's what,
that sounds amazing.
Yeah,
it sounds amazing.
That was incredible. And they were like, the city of Richmond was represented so well in that documentary. That's one thing, because I was still fairly new to the Bay at the time, right? And like Richmond is almost like distant cousin of the Bay, like almost. Because you think of like, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Like, it's 20 minutes away, but it feels like Vallejo or something.
It's like it's in its own little pocket.
But it's dope.
We're right there.
But y'all like represent it, and to see that documentary, it just really solidified in my mind. Like, this is who Don Black is. Like, this is what he's attempting to do, and from there, like, you just blossom. And we'll talk about that. We got to take a break real quick. But y'all listen to KGPC 96.9 FM with the Anything Can Happen show. Cat Fitness, Quessy Dream, Ruby Envy. We'll be right back. We got a quick music break, but make sure you follow us on social media at ach.show. And also you can catch us online, kgpc969.org. Stay tuned. Good. All right. So if you need to, he turned the
I shall find it after many days.
right back, y'all.
I'm about to speak over their head.
Yeah, the mic's off.
But I gotta say this anyway.
You need some more water?
I'm not a drug dealer or a trapper. No, I'm cool. Not an entertainer or a rapper.
Nah, I'm not your nigga or your pastor. I'm a poet, shepherding this lost sheep. You a pastor.
That was quick. I already know it every time.
Always right. Yeah, it's like
vibing.
then we get to the end and we're like, damn it. Like, so many more things to talk about.
Yeah.
So interesting so far. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
With these words, dude. See the slithers on their belly from a bird. You looking to pass over. Don't get caught outside of curfew. A good name is better than precious ointment. The day of death is better than one's birth. My name good, I'm walking in my anointment. Life again, that day one leaves earth. Search for what it's worth. What's worthy ain't got a price to it. Find peace by doing something that's right doing. Without pursuing the eyes are never satisfied. So keep in mind the cud tastes better light chewing. Life brewing herbs that serve best for the body. Becoming living words, correcting whoever by me. I probably with open hearts without tearing apart the foreskin. The fact that's hardened over the soft. Come on, you don't hear wisdom crying in the streets. Your pockets getting fat cause it's blood on your speech. You speak perverse names, just curse all of your sayings. Vanity of vanity is in your veins. Blind to your deceit, being stolen while it's sweet. Nah, nor is eating bread from a thief. Cause we to these wise guys on lies that cause flies that bring the smell of death, decay in your inside. Pride before the fall, humble and heresy. I am the jewelry, you can't buy them all. Ball into a fetus, re-exit the womb. Wanna get in truth before that dollar doom. Room my living room, this housekeeping is sure. Give our return, let's all meet at the shore. Blessed be the poor in spirit, that be the kingdom. Knowing who you are is sweet, taste the freedom. Feed them, watermelon and treat them like a disease. Please, yeah, the flesh and seed with such needs. They don't even bless us with such needs. Please, I put trust in God and trust these. Grease the frying pan,
Are they Contra Costa County or not?
Couple times I got
birds singing on mute, there's no dispute. Be the real seed
out
in
there
the
for
root,
like
the leaves and the
San
fruits, and every branch in
like
the tree.
one
We
time,
find
like
this right
San
grass
Jose,
inside, same as me. It's
San
time
Jose,
to
I
flee,
testified
revive
for
who we
one.
really be,
They
and give
had-
our
they
Abba
didn't
his
even
honor
know
by
what
us
most of
holding
them
his peace. Shalom.
Interesting.
And then the lawyer that I worked
And
with,
once
she
was
had
listening to a wise man,
that was out here in Oakland, but then
and the
he
whole
decided
time he
to represent himself.
he spoke with his
It's a
feet.
serious case, so I would have a couple of times. It's like you
You gotta
finna
listen with the
testify,
eyes.
We got 30 seconds, Joe.
Anytime
like
you
nah,
speak.
case got dismissed or whatever.
Wow. Thank you.
So we got a question coming back from break.
Huh?
We got a question coming back from.
Oh yeah.
Because I got a question.
Oh, you got a question?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. You want me to bring us back, or you want to bring us
I'll
back?
bring this back.
All right. We got 10 seconds. All right. We got 3.
Yo, you are officially tuned in to the Anything Can Happen show on KGPC 96.9 FM. We got Cat Fitness, Quessy Dreams, and Ruby Emmy in the building with our amazing guest for today, Donté Clark. And come out of our quick music break, we have a question from Cat.
So, tell us a little bit about that song, and I got another question about that. What inspired that song right there?
So that song Sweetwater is off of an EP I dropped about 2 years ago called 30 Piece. Sweetwater just pretty much me, my attempt to take like parables and proverbs and then construct it, just pretty much just analyzing our state of affairs at that time. You know what I mean? It was just now COVID had just hit. You had the Breonna Taylor, the George Floyd, the riots, everything was going on, and it was just me just thinking about what we was dealing with as Black people. And just saying like we got to clean up our own act. You know what I'm saying? We can't keep on dependent for a system that was never meant for us to do anything to progress our struggle, to progress our mobility. And so just like saying Sweetwater, like one of the things that I said, like, you think stolen water is sweet? Nah, nor is eat bread from a thief. Because we these wise guys are lies that call flies that bring the smell of death to can your inside. Just like the things that we get.
You were spitting. I ain't gonna lie.
It was just like, it was meant to like really just say, just trying to figure out like slick ways to say things. You know, when you open up Proverbs and they tell you, you know, a saying, and it's up to you to decipher what it means. But once you do, then it stick with you. And so just trying to like code it, but then also put it out there in a slick way.
Absolutely. And what is your inspiration to do the work that you do? You know, when I say, I mean like the community, the hard work, right? Like really just knowing how talented you are. There are a lot of things that you could be doing other than what you are doing, right? Just like, logically speaking. So what keeps you committed to doing this work?
That goes back to that first question as far as like alignment and how did I know? Just knowing that it was on my heart, and it's just like knowing that was part of my calling and my purpose. Just feeling like it bothers me when I see people in general, but especially people that look like my family going through like turmoil, like walking these streets of Broadway, and you seeing like it's hard for me to walk past people and not hand out money when they looking at me like you got some change, even if I ain't got it. It's like I gotta at least make eye contact with them and tell them like I don't have it, to at least let them know I see you. But in my mind, it's like I'm recording this. You feel me? So when I am in a position, I'm trying to just give back, and I think God just put that on my heart to be like, is other people might find it easy to just walk past and not help, but it really bothers my spirit if I ignore somebody going through something. You know what I'm saying? And I think that part, what can you do? Well, I can write about it, I can talk about it, and if this talent can put me in a particular audience to move people who can move and make changes, then this is my purpose, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's why I do it.
And that's so interesting. That's like that. I'm reading the Bible a lot. I just finished the book of Proverbs, and it reminds me of, a couple of different verses.
That's what inspired Sweetwater, that song. Yeah,
like
Proverbs.
Like that's the spirit of Jesus, like what you just referred to, right? And like having that spiritual pulling of like, I have to do something, right? And it just like it's making, because I know that a lot of people are like, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in Jesus, but
you don't have
like
to.
an allegory.
You don't have to believe in God or Jesus to be kind,
right?
Because you're walking in God's path, whether you know it or not.
Right.
If you're kind to people and you see people and you're showing love, that's all Jesus wanted. Jesus don't care. He just wants you to do the work and be kind.
The fruit, that's the fruits of the spirit. You know what I mean? You know a man by his actions. You know what I mean? It's just like the thing, what they say, a person speaks from the abundance of the heart, or from the abundance of the heart, a person speaks. So just how your heart is, how you feel about yourself is what you're going to give. You feel me? If you cook good food, you're not going to intentionally give somebody some bad food. When they hungry, you go, I naturally know how to cook, and my food is good. I want to feed you. So if you're a good person,
that's me.
You know what I mean?
I'm always feeding homeless people out my window.
It's like, you feel me? You gotta
walk up kitchen.
Exactly. You feel me? You gotta give the best of yourself.
It's around
whatever that is. You feel me? If it's a joke, if it's a laugh, you just want to give people your best, and that you walking in the fruits.
But like you just said, sometimes it's just looking at people, because especially the homeless situation, right? And people are always walking past homeless people here in the Bay Area. I don't know about any place else. I only know here. And if they speak to you, what does it take from you to speak back, to even if you don't have any money? Like if they say, whatever, what does it hurt you to say, sorry, bro, it doesn't hurt it. And I feel like really that connecting in any way with somebody that isn't seen, it can save their life. It can be life-saving, because somebody just feels in their heart like, I'm not invisible.
Right.
What's their next step going to be? Maybe their next step is to seek some sort of housing, or to reach out to an old family member asking for help or something like that. If you just see them.
Yeah, and it reminds me, like what Kenny just said, reminds me of this movie I just watched. Like, I ain't trying to get on free drops.
Man, you be watching a lot of movies.
It's business movies, finance movies, human psychology movies, like that. Media is dope. But anyway, I was watching this movie. It's called Old, and it's by M. Night Shyamalan, right? And like basically the concept of the movie is these people go to an island, and then like there's a portion of the island where time goes really fast. So it's like you become old like overnight. Right?
I saw the commercial for that.
I heard about
it. It's dope.
Is it?
There's one scene in particular where like a baby is born on this part of the island, and the baby is born, and then they put the baby down for like 1 minute, and the baby dies due to lack of attention, right? And like, so what Kenny was just saying is like that attention is coded in us, right? Like that need, that desire for attention, and it's like I feel like the reason that some people don't acknowledge that is because like, as humans, we feel each other, right? Like y'all know we're like electromagnetic, spiritual beings. We're all connected to the source, like God, right? That source energy. We're all connected. So it's if we acknowledge that person, it's almost like we got to acknowledge the pain within us, right? And like, not every, I can tell you very emotionally, like, just aware, if nothing else. So it's like you can deal with that pain and handle it constructively, but I feel like most people aren't equipped for that, right? But
well, you give what you have too, is a thing that I feel like I'm getting from what you said, is that whatever it is that you have to give, like even if it's just eye contact or a hello or something like that. Like for me, with the people in my area, I grow a lot of food. People come up and ask, hey, can I have some tomatoes? Somebody came from Wendy's. There's a Wendy's across the street from my house. And she walked over there and she was like, can I have a couple of your peppers for my food that I said, yeah, of course you can. You know, that's what it's here for. You know, it's for to feed myself and my family, but also it's here. Like, of course you can. And so I think it's important to do what you can, and it doesn't have to be huge, but it can affect that person moving down the line. They're going to give next time. It's going to be them. Somebody's going to ask them for something, and they're going to have that stream of giving, you know.
I love how we're talking about like abundance, right? But to have abundance, I feel like you have to pour into yourself first, right? To be able to really share your gifts and everything. So my question to you is like, how do you start off your day? How do you pour into yourself? Like, how do you enrich yourself each and every day to go into the community that you go into and be able to share and build others?
Some days it's better than others. Some days, you know, you wake up and you tune in to all of the garbage that's going on in the world, and that can affect the start of your day. But on a perfect day, on a good day, when I'm conscious of it, you wake up and you just be thankful and just grateful that I'm alive, I made it. I be mindful of all of the opportunities that I have in front of me. And then honestly, you just tap into the source. Like, I feel like God put us all here to carry out a mission. And it's hard for you to do an assignment if you ain't tapped into the one who gave you the assignment. So I have to just tap into like, okay, for those, if we talking like scripturally, right? What assignment did you give King David? Or what assignment did you give Moses? Or what assignment did you give? Because at the end of the day, I see a parallel between our experiences as Black people and biblical stories. You know what I'm saying? Like when Jonah was told to go preach to the town because God was going to destroy it because they was living crazy. And Jonah didn't want to go do it. Some days I feel like Jonah. I don't want to go talk to. I ain't trying to go to them projects and talk to them people. Them people kill people. I ain't trying to go talk to them. But God is like, go over there. You know what I'm saying? If you don't, everything that you do outside of this assignment is going to be bad for you. You're going to get swallowed by a whale. You're going to get thrown in the water. You know what I mean? So it just be like tapping into like, all right, how could I not be Jonah? How could what do I need in order to build my confidence? So that's a workout. That's drinking water. That's not eating nothing too heavy because I know it's going to make me sluggish in the day and I'm going to want to take a nap. So it's getting up. It's doing some push-ups. It's doing some squats. It's some jump rope. Putting on music that's electrifying. That's raising my vibration. Instead of eating a heavy meal, I'm going to eat a mango. I'm going to put some key lime in my water. I'm going to drink some hot water to just get my blood flowing. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to sit outside in the sun and just let the sun just beam on me. You feel me? I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to, you know what I mean? I'm going to write down every idea that I have. And I'm just going to get started with doing that. And just go out there and see people that's thriving, and then also see people that's struggling, and then try to be a combination of both. Embrace your struggle, but then also embrace the opportunities that you have, and then just, you know, read a word or two. Like, oh man, this what happened. Here go a proverb. Don't worry about when this is and that. Man, you're good. Ooh. And then it's like that's where that faith come in. It's like faith come by hearing, and hearing coming by the word of God. So I can't have faith in something I ain't never seen or ain't never heard. So I had to digest these words of living, you feel me, and then believe it, and then I have to make my actions mirror that. When I walk, I'm not worried about what's not gonna go well. Everything is already written, everything is already good. I just have to do my part and show up. And I think that's what leads to like a place of abundance where you just pour into yourself. Like, man, I got everything I need. I already got. I just got to keep activating it to make it stronger. Feel me? I got a buzz, but how can I make it boom? How can I make it, you feel me, spread every single time? You know what I mean? And that's all it is. We're just trying to spread. Yeah.
Right. Can I ask you what you mean when you said embrace your struggle? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
It's like a seed. We all are seeds, you feel me?
Yeah.
And in order for a seed to grow into a beautiful plant, it got to be buried in the dirt. And if we know what the soil is, it's pretty much manure. You know what I mean? It's all
That's the struggle.
Yeah, you gotta go through all of the manure, you feel me, that we get dealt as people. You gotta be placed in that, buried, and then you gotta be drowned with a lot of water. And then you gotta sit up in there and you gotta figure out, how can I pull the resources from this environment, from the manure, from the dirt? How can I pull that? Because that's gonna make me strong. And I know as a seed that the sun is always shining. The seed don't need you to tell it to reach for the light. It's gonna reach. I'm gonna pull everything from this soil in this dark place, and I'm gonna break open, and I'm gonna reach out. And as long as I can see that sun, keep watering me, I'm gonna be good. So that's what I mean. Embrace the struggle. If you feel like you in a messy situation, what are the resources? What are the information? What are the tools? What are the skills? What are the tactics that you are learning every day to survive that? And then how can you pull that and enhance your movement every single day? And the more you learn, the more you go through, because experience is your best teacher. You feel me? So you can give me a word of encouragement, but if you don't go through it, you're not gonna really know what it feels like. You gotta be battle tested. So you feel me? You gotta get thrown up in them hot, hostile environments. That's gonna prove you. So when times get hard, it's like, this is light work. You know what I mean? Like they say, like, I don't play sports, but they say you gonna play harder in practice than you do in the game. So if you practice really hard, the game is gonna be easy. It ain't gonna be nothing, because it's like, it's light work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you just gotta go harder in practice. And right now, if you in a struggle, that's gonna be the hardest, because once you become successful, you can kick back a little bit, because you on autopilot at that point. It's just like, this ain't harder than what I've been through.
Right.
This is just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This ain't harder than what
Because you battle tested, you don't allow fear to take over. The fear of the unknown. You know what I'm saying? You already pushed your body, you pushed your mental, your physical to those levels. So when you feel that pressure, you embrace it.
Yeah.
You don't run from it. You know what I'm saying? If you don't practice anything in life, the first time you experience it, it can scare you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then it's like, once you are comfortable, like, I done been at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? I done survived that.
Mm-hmm.
Only way is up. And you ain't afraid to fall back to the bottom, because you already got the tools to survive that. It's like, all right, this didn't work out. I know I'm gonna go start over again. You know what I'm saying? It's easy.
That's fine. I'm glad I called you. But how do you feel about past lives?
Past lives, which means
Like, do you believe in past lives? Like, when people say, "Oh, I've been here before," right? Like, I have an old soul. Like, do you believe that?
I feel like wherever we come from the source. So I feel like we are a reflection of God's thoughts. So in a sense, we have always been here. We just probably are now present and conscious in this particular moment in time. But if we came from that source, once we transition from the source, we will still be here, just in a different form. So in a sense, if I am a reflection of God, then I have a part of me have always been here. I will just be called back or transition into another space. But I also feel like our being present is our truest self. You know what I mean? That not what we do, it's the voice that we hear. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, so in a sense, I'm not saying that I've been here as another thing before. I don't know. I don't have the knowledge to know that I used to be a flower and now I'm saying I'm gonna then be an elephant's foot. I don't know none of that. But I know, like, if I come from God and God is eternity, then I've always been here. I'm just now having an opportunity to be expressed. God, I'm the expression of God in this moment. And how can I be the best expression of God?
And it's like with the, in a lot of African cultures, and of course here in America, just an extension of our culture, is we say, that person made their transition, right? Not that person died, but that person made their transition. And then the question is, they transition from, like what you were saying, this expression of source into another expression of source,
One of the deepest things I ever heard is, like, human beings are the universe becoming aware of itself, right? Because, like, the universe is within us, right? And that, like, when I heard that, it just completely changed I realized, like, humans across the board, partly because of, like, education, miseducation, like our limited experiences, but a lot of humans think on a very low vibration,
Mm.
like a very low, and it's not always their fault because a lot of people are in a survival state, right? Like
Yeah.
you traveled outside the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like that was the first time living in Ghana for a year. Like I realized one, the N word isn't real. I don't think I can say it on the radio, but like an N word isn't real, right? Like it's somebody's perception of what we are, but that's not real, right? It's only real within the context of America. And when I traveled outside of America and I lived somewhere where it's not real, I felt like the weirdo for thinking I was something that I'm not. Right? So but that shifted my perspective so much. And it's like, it's good to have conversations like this. Like this is one of the reasons I enjoy being on this show, because I don't hear a lot of conversations like this, especially in public in general, right? So it's like the world needs us, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
We're the Justice League.
Righteous.
That wasn't even a question.
Yeah. You were feeling the vibe over there, Quincy.
okay.
You was over there
That's
vibing.
another
That's
one, the
right.
salt of the earth. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
salt. You gotta be the salt. You gotta be the light upon the hill. You feel me?
Yeah.
I love that you said that, Kwesi, because it's so true that when we travel, especially when we travel to the motherland, right?
Yeah.
When we travel, it's such a different world than what we've been raised to experience. Is that it's just not even real, like what you were just saying about the N word or whatever. It's like what we truly are is we are what God calls us, or we are what the source calls us. We are not what man calls us, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a way of shifting our perspective in the way we see ourselves, and in the way we educate other people to see us, and the way we educate our children to see themselves. It's very different.
Yeah, that's dope. But we're almost coming to a close for today's episode. Believe it or not, almost an hour has passed already, but we still got a few minutes, right? So just with these last few minutes, what is maybe one or two things that you want to leave with our listening audience?
Dang. You are what you think. You are what you consume, and not just food. It's just like the thoughts that you consume, the music that you consume, the ideas that you consume. You become that. So if you can think love, you can speak love. And if you can speak love, you can be love. You feel me? And when you walk in that really solves all of your answers. Like love is the highest vibration. So when you're thinking love and you're speaking it, you can speak life into everything around you. We don't need all of these fictitious systems to solve a lot of the problems, when you can just say, hey, I have enough love to give. Even if that's only 35%, that's enough that can literally save somebody's life. You know what I mean? So if you could just think love, speak love, you can become love, and love will answer all of our problems. And I ain't talking about that I love you. I'm talking about love is an action word.
Yes.
You feel me? So when love means that I'm going to do it, even if I don't like you, I'm going to do it because it needs to be done. Because for the well-being of you is the well-being of me. Because if I don't give you nothing, you will break into my house and I'm going to be forced to defend myself. So how can I prevent that? I'm going to give you everything that you need so you can be successful. You know what I mean? So love is all that we really need. Action behind that. You know? So think love, speak love, and you can become love, and that'll solve all our problems.
That's amazing. Thank you, Black Jesus.
Hey.
Really quick, give us your socials and any projects or events you have coming up that people can come support.
For sure. My social media, I'm mostly on Instagram, is Don Black, DONBLAK, one word. Facebook, I think, is like Donté Clark. I don't really be on it like that because I don't really know how to use it. But you can email me as well, Donté Clark at ymail.com, DONTECLARK at ymail, the letter Y, mail.com. I have 2 books. One is called No Freedom. The other one is called Closed Caskets. You can find both of those on Amazon, or you can DM me on my Instagram if you want a copy. And I'm working on my 3rd book of poetry right now. Hopefully it'll be available in August, and I'll have a couple of follow-up projects after that will soon be announced.
Outstanding. So you heard it here first on the Anything Can Happen show. Thank you to Donté Clark, aka Don Black, for joining us today. This has been another incredible episode. Definitely tune in every single Thursday at ach.show on Instagram. And you can catch us streaming online at www.kgpc969.org. Definitely stay tuned. We got way more on the way. Thank y'all for listening. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Hey.
Donté Clark. Anything can happen, show. Give y'all some host.
Another one in the book. That was, I told you, it's gas.
Gas.
He was gassing them today. My brother Donté.